So today we're working on internal alignment and external pressure. So one of the things for Valentine's Day is Dylan and I were resting a lot in where we were feeling really good about it. In this season, we had a really fun time with it. And also where there can just be so much external pressure. Like every single day we're actually participating in that. So this is just like a great little microcosm of what's happening for you this weekend. Birthdays are another wonderful example, right? It's how are we buying into it, and where are you actually coming from? Are you coming from because there's this external pressure? Are you coming and moving from your own inner alignment? So as we go through these exercises, it's really just fine-tuning your own truths, your own values, and just where your genuine yes is. So, clear external pressure, right? It'd be like obligation, expectation, fear of judgment, maybe like the need to belong, or like terror of disappointing someone. And so most of us can be really conditioned by that external pressure, right? By our parents, cultural, religion, that we aren't actually able to even tell the difference. Sometimes we even just think it is ours, right? Just like our own imprinting with how we use our voice or how we relate. We're like, oh, this is how I would love to touch someone. And you're like, oh, actually, that's not. I haven't really thought about it. Or of course, this is what sex is. This is how I like to have it. And you're like, oh, wait, I actually haven't stopped and thought about it. And sometimes we just get caught in these moments where we're like, oh, wait, what are we actually wanting? And so that's just what we're focusing on today a little bit, is just telling them apart. Right? So the external pressure, culture and religion, social media, milestones and occasions, right? Birthdays, Valentine's Day, even like the people we love most, in fear of like disappointing them. And one of the things that's so sweet that Dylan and I were noticing is like the external pressure doesn't really announce itself. It doesn't say like, hey, I'm an obligation, here I am. It's so quiet. And just like, it's just happening. It almost disguises itself in your own voice. So for example, my daughter came home from school. She goes to school with 5 kids, or like 6 kids total, maybe 5 houses away. This amazing little teacher program thing, and they just play outside all day long and then do their little lessons. And so they were really focused on Valentine's Day because they were like making boxes and sharing appreciation and honestly just working on their letters of like writing everyone's name. She got a lot of dinosaurs, and so she came home, brought flowers, and she was like, these are for you, they're gonna match the flowers that you buy me. And we're like, yeah, like of course we're buying you flowers. But we don't actually usually buy each other flowers on Valentine's Day. But in that moment, Dylan and I were like, oh, of course we will do that. And in that moment, it's where we noticed like, oh, this obligation just like brought itself in our own voice because we received flowers, and she was just so genuine about it that we're like, we're going to meet you there. But didn't actually discuss what we wanted to do or what felt really good to us. I didn't even know if that did feel really good to us to go get flowers. Same way we were in the bath together, and she's like, all right, well, I'd like to be asked out for Valentine's Day now. No one's asked me yet. We're like, oh, we never asked you. Like, we don't usually ask each other, but I'm hearing you want us to ask you. So we like all asked her in the tub, and she was like really happy about it. And it took until the next day, so that was Friday, because she thought it was on Friday, because that's when they celebrated it at school. We made a cake for school. Like, it was a whole thing of just like fun activities of why we love people and how we love each other. And then Dylan and I had to sit and be like, well, what do we actually want to do that feels genuine outside that obligation of taking her out? And it's Saturday, so we had a babysitter for ourselves last night, and then I had the whole morning with her and the baby. And then Dylan took her out for the whole afternoon. And it was very much their afternoon. And then they brought home flowers. And it was, well, okay, what actually feels good? Because just bringing flowers because we're obligated to, because someone's asking for it. Someone's asking for a date, but we don't actually know when we're spending this alone time with her. Didn't feel as good. So when we sat with, oh, this is your chunk of time. That feels really good. He really wanted to take her out for an afternoon and go get hot chocolates and like whatever they did. And I took her to the playground for like 6 different play dates. And that felt really good to me. Just really bopped around the play dates. And so it's, where are we actually taking these times to figure out what our true alignment is? How do we get there very quickly? Because it's so subtle to go into the pressure, go into the obligation, and not even notice where we've slightly abandoned ourselves. Right, so one of the big things is when the occasion is emotionally charged with like big events, that's when the pressure can really intensify. We can go into like guilt and obligation and pressure, and our own alignment with ourself just shrinks. And the big threat here is the actual identity threat. Because when this external and pressure increases, it doesn't just tell you what to do, it tells you who you are, right? Who are you actually going to be in this moment? So if you don't do this, then you're a bad mom. If you say no to this, then you're selfish. If you don't show up the way everyone expects you to, then you don't belong here. And when this identity is threatened, that's when the nervous system can start really panicking and actually activating, right? Getting really tight, closing off, and we can be going into survival mode. So either we can comply, collapse, or even just explode because we're out of this alignment for so long. Or the truth is like none of these are in alignment, and we're not actually engaging in a way that feels really nourishing, and we're not really meeting ourselves. So yeah, we're just gonna get into some awareness right now of where your own integrity is, your own alignment is. Okay, so just as you sit down, sit kind of comfortably. We're just gonna test it. So just breathing into your body, taking some deep breaths into your belly. Just feeling the openness in your heart. Feel the openness in your throat. In the mind, right? Our mind can lie to us and rationalize, and our body can't. Just feeling this open space in your body. We're just gonna bring some gathering up. Maybe a birthday, a commitment, a conversation you're expected to have, a dinner you're expected to make. And then when you're ready, just placing your hands somewhere on your body, maybe on your belly, on your heart, wherever you feel like it's one of your bigger access points for your yeses in your nose. Great. When you have this, just bring this commitment, whatever the upcoming thing is, just to the forefront of your mind. And imagine saying yes to this thing. Like fully committing, showing up as expected. And just scan your body here to what happened. Noticing if your chest is expanding or contracting. Does your belly soften or tighten? Does your breath deepen or shorten? Does your energy drop? And just noticing the feedback you're receiving from your body. Now imagine you're saying no or not yet to this opportunity on your own terms. What happens in your body now? We're not judging it, just gathering information. Noticing the chest expanding or contracting, the belly softening or tightening. Does the breath deepen or shorten? Is your energy rising or dropping? And just notice what your body's saying. Okay, now we're gonna bring a situation that you already know a little bit is external pressure. So think of an event that's coming up. Just be doing a bunch of chores, making a big dinner, doing a big drive, whatever it could be that you're doing, it doesn't feel very good. Or possibly doesn't feel very good. And just bring that into the front of your mind. And notice what happens when you say yes to it. What's happening in your body? What's happening in your chest? In your stomach? What's happening in your energy levels? And from here, we're just going to trace this pressure. And we're just going to get curious, not critical, just really curious. And just notice, whose voice is this? And just notice, right, with curiosity, where did you inherit this voice from? Your parents, other caregivers, your culture, religion? Your partner? And how old does this voice feel? When you feel the pressure, how old do you feel? Like 8, 14, younger than that? Then from this place, who is responding? Is this the adult version of you or the child who needed to belong? And then ask it, what am I afraid will happen if I don't comply? And just try and name this fear specifically. Rejection, abandonment, judgment, losing love, not belonging. And when you can name that fear, you can work with it instead of being run by it. So once you have this fear, just notice, is this fear a current reality or an old story? Is this person actually going to withdraw their love if I don't perform? Or is my nervous system replaying and playing out an old pattern? Yeah, when you're ready, I'd love to know what fear we're working with today. If you want to voice it out loud, write it in the chat. Mm. This fear, as you get it, is just important for you to remember, because this will be an underlying fear when you're feeling this pressure of where it's actually coming from. So as we go through this next practice, which you can do in like a breath when these situations are happening, so important you actually know, oh, here's this underlying fear that can hijack most of the time or often. So you can just breathe and be like, oh, am I just playing this because I'm afraid of not being wanted? I'm afraid of losing love. I'm afraid of being in trouble. It's my big one. Am I just doing this because I don't want to be in trouble? And once I have that, I can take a breath and actually just check in. Oh, is this response coming from that? No, this feels good. Okay, I'm going to be a yes. Because in most of these situations, for me personally, it's just one underlying theme of I don't want to be in trouble. Same with Dylan, one underlying theme. And research shows that's for most people, but when we were role playing it. So, the integration step. How do we do this moving forward and make this so easy? So, and then actually choose to participate from a different source, right? A different place in our own nervous system alignment. So, a big way we can do this is just pause before saying yes. If you can just take one breath or 5 seconds, a micro gap between the question or the moment and then the pressure in your response. And then that gap brings you right into that pause and power of your own choice, because you're the creator of this life, or you're in creation of your own choice. Just let me check in with that before. Let me check in with myself before I answer. A really easy cue. Or if you get a text message, you can usually take a moment. Or just ask for 2 minutes. Most people would rather, the ones that you are consciously around, rather you take those 2 minutes or a few minutes, especially if you say it, hey, I just need a couple minutes, I'll get back to you. And actually answer from an authentic place that's honest with yourself than feeling pressure and almost like dishonoring that relationship and dishonoring what the gift is going to be or how the dinner is going to go, or, oh, will you make dinner tonight? Yes. Well, I really didn't want to. Okay, well, now your dinner isn't going to be coming from as genuine of a place. If you said, let me just take 2 minutes and check in. I'm really not in the mood to make dinner tonight. This is what I'm available to like heat up or to order in. And then you're actually meeting someone and growing in that authentic relating. Right? So like this practice goes in so many different micro moments that just remind us that we actually get to be in the power of our own choice and our voice. So the other one would be even an obligatory situations. There we go. There is usually something you can find that is true for you. Right? Something you actually want, is of value, something you do care about. So even if it's someone's birthday, maybe you don't want to like perform a whole birthday party or do a huge celebration, but you really love this person, right? So, can we just show up and go do a getaway. You're like, that fine, that sounds really great, but having everyone at your house would sound horrible because you're kind of sick of being at your house. It's like, oh, where would that feel really good and really nourishing? And a big thing is like, this isn't finding the yes inside of the obligation is really important because you're not blowing something off. You're actually just finding where you resonate with it. I was working with a couple couples last week, and a big theme was compromise. Like, well, I don't want to compromise on this. They're not able to travel. I want to travel. I don't want to compromise. And when we are finding our actual yes inside the obligation, we're not compromising. And I keep pointing out, like, there's not a compromise in a relationship. It's that you're actually consciously choosing to live your life with this person. You're consciously choosing to be a parent. And where is that yes of, oh, I just really wanted to take care of you? I'm actually a full yes to that. Last night, my son woke up almost every 30 minutes because he had a stuffy nose. And it was really annoying on some 30 minutes. Some 30 minutes I just hated him. Really didn't want him there. And I was like, I should night wean. This is the worst. Then you can sleep with your dad all night. Like, I don't know. We have to finish this. And then there'd be like other 30-minute sections where I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. All I want to do is serve you. Like, what an honor that like you're sad and you only say my name when you're so sad and needy. He says Dada when he's like all happy, and Mama's like such a whiny, like, I'm helpless. I need you. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute. Like, you love me. Like, I want to meet your need. And I was just dancing with this because I knew this was the class of where my yes was inside this obligation, and did it feel like a compromise, or is this part of this dance because what's actually holding the whole thing? Like, yes, last night overall was a lot of work, but what's holding the whole thing was my 100% yes of, oh, I want to be here to meet this child's every need that I'm available for. Like, that's my huge yes, a foundational yes. And on top of that, I'm annoyed and I'm a human and I'm tired. And parts of those sessions, I really wanted him to go to sleep and was just shoving things in his face to try and get him to sleep, and it didn't work at all. But we're in a relationship too, it's where is that yes inside the obligation? Because it's not really this compromise, actually holding the whole foundation of, yes, I'm so in love with you. I'm choosing you in this relationship. This is actually what I want to be in service to. I'm a full yes to this. And, okay, you're not able to travel and I want to. That can still be held in this full yes. But it's not a compromise, because I'm not compromising my biggest desire, the actual foundational desire, which is to be with this person. My foundational desire, which is to meet every need of this child that I can. I'm not compromising my sleep last night. I'm choosing what I'm actually in devotion to, which was not sleeping. If I wanted to sleep, I would not have babies. I would not breastfeed them. I wouldn't co-sleep. I would sleep train them. It's a very viable option that it works. I don't believe in it, and it works really well. Lots of people do it. And that's not, right, so that's where we get to really tap into, well, what are our values? Where would this compromise be? And where are we feeling pressurized with actually feeling that full integrity? Yes. So finding that genuine thread is so important. How is this landing right now? So give a thumbs up. If you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. So what are you saying about if you're in a relationship and, like, you were giving an example of a couple where one person feels they don't want to compromise about the traveling? Are you saying that you then need to reflect on what your foundational devotions are? Have I understood that?
Yes. Because maybe this partner, if you really want a partnership that you're traveling together in, you probably have the wrong partner. And this person can't. So are you actually choosing this person? Or would you like a different partner that can travel with you? What is the most, like,
Mm.
because you're not compromising your life. You have to consciously, fully choose the person you're with for the life that you're with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's how that resentment starts building and that victim, and then the big blowouts of like, oh, it's you. You're this enemy that I can't travel and live my life. And that's not, you're not stuck with anyone. That's not true. Especially some of these couples. No one even had children this week. Like, no one was stuck with each other. They're not even married. Like, no one is stuck here. To be so sad about compromising.
Mm. So it sounds a lot like grace, really. Like when you bring your awareness and your consciousness to knowing, oh, this was actually a deal breaker. And if I'd really thought about it, I would not be in a relationship with this person. And then you make a decision about whether it is a deal breaker for you or whether you bring grace to it and choose to compromise. Is that, yeah.
Yeah, but I saw I'm looking at too is like then it's not a compromise because you're saying yes to that whole person and what the life has going for you, not compromising some version of your life that is imaginary. Because if you want that reality to be the reality that you're traveling all over the world, you have virtual jobs, this is your partner and you're nomadic, it's a completely different relationship and different partner. It's not a compromise. You're wishful thinking a whole other relationship. So when you get really clear, I think that's the grace with whatever that need is and that desire, or for that part of you that wants that nomadic, different relationship and different life. Can you include them? Actually, this is what you're choosing, or they're consistently going to be pinging that your life is boring and not that nomadic adventure. Even as you sit in your stable home, you're like, oh, I hate this. I want to be nomadic. It's not a compromise. It just feels like it's almost like out of out of this integrity. You're not actually sitting with the yes that's here because that's the life that you're choosing. And so we're not sitting and choosing it together. There will be these little parts that are imagining a different life. They're just building resentment, constantly proving how the life you chose is not that. And that's where compromise goes, because that's compromise. Right? If you're feeling that like that other, that's where that resentment can build. Yeah. Okay. So another element of genuine, the genuine thread, your yes and whatever it may be, is then also participating with full presence. Right. So this is when we have a half present yes, it can actually be more damaging than a no. Right. Like children really feel the difference between a parent who's physically there but emotionally absent and then a parent who is genuinely fully there. We can also feel that with our partners, or even think of like when we're love making. If someone's not actually really present and really wanting to be with us, it actually creates a lot of harm on our body and physically and emotionally. We're actually not feeling wanted in these really vulnerable places that we're so receptive. So if you can't find the real yes to it, then it's worth asking whether your absence would be more honest and more honoring than, like kind of like a half and hollow presence. And so that goes in knowing, well, what is your fear, right? So if we look at the fear of being unwanted, losing a loved one, which are very similar fears, losing that love and connection, is it worth honoring the no, but building it, saying, wow, that person still didn't go away and I said no, or having a half hollow yes, and now there's just some inconsistency, but they're there. You didn't lose them, they're there, but it doesn't feel really good. So that's like when you can check in with your fear and be like, oh, what would be worth it? How do I actually want to lead in this choice right now? And then, so how does that land? Is that one good? Cool. Great. So then the biggest layer here that we were talking about, Dylan and I were talking about yesterday
No,
is,
I just want
yeah,
to pop in. I'm catching like bits and pieces just because I'm deep in my mom business. But I feel like you're very directly talking to me.
I'm not. I'm actually not directly talking to you, but I love
That's okay. I'm receiving it from the universe right now.
it.
Um, I'm in a really half yes, half no kind of a spot, and I feel how like half-assed my life existence is. And I know that I'm like really deeply contemplating and struggling with like the balance of like commitment and self-sacrifice and honoring self of this like strong yes and no. You know, like can I really put on that villain crown and just say no? This is not working. Is that really the honorable move? Like I don't there's I'm like just growing up right now. And I feel like I'm noticing the like immensity of also what these choice making that we have. We always have a choice and we can always choose. And our choices have these ripple effects. So tuning into the yes of the body and tuning into the no of the body, there's like every day feels a little different sometimes.
Yeah, I really get that. And so
Yeah.
this is just, you can just be in the micro choices right now, as well as your fine tuning. Right? We don't have to put so much pressure on the really big choice. So he said this is also one of these perfect examples of what the external pressure and obligation would be. Right, especially when we make big choices. Like I was telling you, the clients I was referring to had no children. They weren't married. And I was just like, this is super easy to come into your choice here. Right? There's nothing that's holding you. And then we make these bigger obligations like babies and marriage. Right? There is pressure. There's religious, cultural, family. There's like all the things that we're actually talking about of pressure. And so then it's just getting in touch of, can you practice this in these small increments of, you have to make dinner, or the children ask you to read 5 books and you hate those books. Happens to be all the time. I hate some of the books that my daughter has. I was like, no, mommy doesn't read those. The babysitter, daddy, they love those books. I hate them. I've read them too many times. I read a different pile of books that I really like. Make me happy. And so it's like where it gets to be honest, and so where you just get to start feeling in your body and nervous system, because we're just working this muscle of the yes and the no. And just even that gets to rewire that you're worthy of saying yes to it, you're worthy of finding where your full yes is, and then finding where that fear is, whatever the core fear may be. Well, is it worth it in that little moment? Like, do I actually care if my 3-year-old is getting me in trouble for not reading her book? No, no, but I don't. But I did. For like 2 years, I really did. That was the whole thing. And I was running from that place without actually knowing. Even though it was so slight, I was actually abandoning myself because my body wasn't a yes to these demands. And so for me, it can be much easier to actually practice the yes and no in the nervous system of choice with the children because there's not that big of a consequence. And then that gets me up to actually working with other adults, which feels more like the Olympics. But if we can do it with the kids, so I think that's it right now, really. If we can take off the pressure of the biggest, everything needs to make the biggest decision, or just the little ones, so you can get to know where you're actually coming from, where their fears are, and how you can get to know yourself. So very quickly, you're like, oh, that's my full body yes. Is there another thing you want to add in, or how does that resonate?
Yeah, I think it resonates. Putting perspective of exercising the muscle and focusing on the small things is big. I think like really getting conscious of noting that fear is a really big piece that sometimes is hard for me to have all of the mind space to like define. Um, yeah, I've been working with just like somatic feedback and trying to find the yes and the no. That's been helpful, but it takes time to slow down and ask the questions and really get the get the answers. I think that's the biggest practice right now for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to, I will send this write up. I'll put in the WhatsApp group of actually how to do this practice of the questions we ask, because when we just keep, obviously any of you can rewatch the first like 15 minutes of this video too. But if you can just practice the same dialogue, it can get you there because your body's remembering, oh, these are the steps. And then you can go through it very quickly because it's remembering the safety and the consistency of here's a pathway to get there very efficiently. So much of what Dylan and I talk about is efficiency because we have lots of very little time to be by ourselves too. Yeah, just really sleep deprived brains. So one of the big aspects, another big aspect that we're talking on the final one is the identity and belonging piece. So a thing that can keep us from here is when this pressure actually becomes an identity threat. So we talked about how external pressure intensifies around occasions, but there's a deeper reason that it can be so hard to resist. Because when you don't comply with the pressure, it doesn't just feel like you're doing the wrong things, it almost feels like you are the wrong thing. Right? So not showing up can mean that I'm a bad mother. Saying no may mean that you're selfish. Breaking the pattern may mean that you're selfish, and then breaking the pattern may mean like I don't belong. So if you're not showing up or making all these dinners, do you actually belong in this role? If I don't clean on a Monday, I don't know who is. So like, I don't. Am I belonging in like my housewife role that I've made for myself on these certain days of the week? I don't know. It actually conflicts with this whole identity I've created through different times of the week for my different jobs or different roles. So this is part of the identity threat. And it's actually one of the most powerful parts that keep us locked into this unconscious participation. So a reframe, an NLP reframe that we can do, right? Your identity is not made of your compliance. Your belonging is not conditional on your performance. Okay, so the people that truly love you don't love the performance. They love you, the person underneath the role. And this is why it can be so supportive to be around children, because they don't care. You're not receiving love from the children based on your doing. It's based on your being. How is your nervous system? How is the coherence in your field? The house could be spotless and no one cares. My children don't care. They care if it's clean, but spotless, no one cares about. They've never once thanked me for it. No one cares. Right, but my identity will be, well, I feel safe. This is like, I'm a good housewife if it's this way. Even though no one else cares. Dylan, no one cares. And it's really hard, this identity piece, when we can note where it is, that maybe we're the only ones actually pressurizing it at the end of the day. For example, I think Dylan originally did care that the house was spotless, and then realized that my nervous system was not as kind when it was spotless because I didn't take pauses. And then he retracted that because he would prefer me to just be kinder in the house, to be less spotless. And then so all that time in between that was still spotless was just this internal pressure that made me a good housewife. That mean I was doing my job. I was a better mom than my mom because I could keep it better. Which is honestly not a hard competition. So I was better. And so it gets put with the identity. So if your belonging to yourself is conditional on the compliance, that's worth understanding, and it's kind of going through and noting, because conditional belonging isn't safety. It's actually just this cage that we're putting ourselves in. So we're gonna just have a wiggle, come into some comfy breath in your body. I'm just gonna lead you through some questions to find where this is. Maybe where you have some compliance or caging that's happening in your own body. So just feeling your breath in your belly, feeling it in your chest, feeling the breath in your head. And right here, we're just gonna bring in a role. Housewife, worker, son, whatever role you would like to bring in. And just ask yourself, who am I when I am not performing the role? Is that person allowed to exist in my family? Is that person allowed to exist in your relationship? Is that person allowed to exist in my community? And just see what your answers are. It's going to let you know if that role is actually in alignment or if you feel like you're living in captivity. We're not going to do anything with that answer. That's just something that you can keep practicing. I will write these out and try and remember them and write them out for the chat. And then we're going to go through this practice as you all are beginning or ending your day right now. That would be a morning practice to do as you're working on this muscle. So feeling your breath right now, feeling your body. Feel what obligations you have today. Whatever that list is, whatever you're obligated to do. And once you have this list in front of you, just ask your body, what is my genuine yes today? And ask yourself, what do I actually want to bring to this day? And from here, set an intention from alignment, where you can find it in your body, that openness. You're not from the schedule, but from your actual alignment. You're working on the energy of what you want to bring to this day. And throughout the day, when you notice contractions, if any come up, tightening, resentment, hollowness, pause. Right? Is this mine, or is this pressure I have absorbed? And just seeing how you feel here. And when you're ready, just coming back to center. Yeah. All of this is just information, not to create judgment or shame, but to create more of what we're actually choosing, what you're wanting.